Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tapped In with Verily Biz Solutions. I'm Fran Strickland, owner and founder of Verily Biz Solutions, and I'm here today with the wonderful Noemi Beres. Now, we're in for a real treat today because Noemi is a podcaster par excellence. Now, really, what she is a co-founder of Podcast Connections, and she brings great guests together with great hosts. And I've had the pleasure of hearing her speak to another group, and I just wanted her to be on my platform because I think she will bring tremendous insight to everyone who hears this: entrepreneurs, leaders, owners, founders, you name it. And I'm just delighted that she is going to be giving us in depth insight as to how we can be great podcast guests. So, welcome, Noemi. Thank you so much for being with us. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Fran, for inviting me. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here. I'm very well, thank you. I'm enjoying Cyprus winter summer.
Well, I'm trying to carry this winter theme
Yes, I can
with
see
my
that.
background. I happen to love winter, and so therefore being here in Switzerland and in the cooler temperatures is just my thing. But I had a conversation with someone today who's in South America, and he was talking about how he was trying to celebrate the season in South America. And south of the equator is summertime. So,
Yes.
you know, the weather is. So I'm so happy, however, that together you can get a little taste of my cold weather through my view, and I can get a little taste of what you might be experiencing at the same time with you being in Cyprus. Okay, so are you ready to share your wisdom? I cannot wait to hear what you're going to share today. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Fran. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So, I have these questions, and I love for everyone to have a chance to hear a little bit of my guest story. So, can you start out by just sharing directly what do you do and how in the heck did you get to do it?
I love the question. Yes, thank you, Fran. Yes, so I run a podcast booking agency. I'm the co-founder of it called Podcast Connections. We help entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, authors to get on quality podcast shows. We help them to share their knowledge and share their stories on amazing platforms like yours and on other people's. Hopefully, we can, connect other people here too. And how I got into it. Yeah, that's an interesting story. And like for so many other people, it was utterly accidental the way I ended up in this industry because I became an entrepreneur in 2007 and we run a podcast. We had an online travel related business from
Hmm.
2007 up till 2020,
Hmm.
and I was doing social media marketing, online marketing, blogging, travel writing, you name it, wearing too many hats. And that was happening from 2007 up to 2020. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic in 2020, the whole travel industry collapsed from one
Hmm.
day to another. So we
Hmm.
had to pivot and start a completely new business from scratch. And that was starting a podcast booking agency and working with American clients mostly, and some from Canada and from the UK. And to be honest with you, friend, I didn't even listen to podcasts before 2020. So I had no clue what to do, how to do that. But luckily, we had a mentor, and he was from Ireland, and he helped us to set up the whole business. And from one day to another, we just started to operate a podcast booking agency, first with e commerce clients, mainly female entrepreneurs from the US. And that's how it all started. The rest is history now.
Wow. Well, the pandemic, I was in the corporate environment when the pandemic went through. And and I know that experience of from one day to another losing volumes and basically, finding yourself with the question, what do we do now? So first of all, I congratulate you in being able to make that pivot
Thank you.
and to use what you already knew, but to reconfigure it in a way that you're able now to sit with us today with a successful venture.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a long journey and I had to learn a lot of things along the way for sure.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So one of the things that happens to people in this entrepreneurial journey. So I'm going to draw off my experience and hope that people can gain insights and comfort and all the things that it takes for us to continue individually and continue to pursue our dreams. But I remember when I finally decided to take my little shell business and do something with it. I didn't want to be seen.
Mm,
Okay. I wanted to hide. In fact, I hid a lot. Okay.
yeah.
I can imagine that in what you're doing, when you're bringing people together, you're encountering different dispositions and ways of thinking about the whole art of podcasting. So I'd like for you to share a little bit about what have you found to be most important for someone who might be like me, a little introverted or wanting to hide? What is some insights you can share for someone who might really be in that position today?
That's a great question. And actually, to be honest with you, friend, nobody asked me this question before on podcast interviews. It's very interesting because I met so many introverted people. And I know for some people, it's even struggle to listen back to their own voice because
Hmm.
they just not familiar with. But what I tell people is to practice, practice, practice. That's how it comes. I remember my first podcast interview back in 2020, 2021. It wasn't easy. It was, oh my gosh, it felt so it went okay, but I've done so much better since then. But you have to practice, and I think it comes with experience. Your first podcast interview won't be the best, but
Hmm.
once you put your mind on it and you practice how to express yourself openly and trying to be more open and more vulnerable when you share your story, I think that's where magic happens. And
Hmm.
maybe it's a cliche when you tell people that like just be yourself, but yeah, you need to try to be yourself and just don't put any mask on when you are on a podcast because people will notice that it's you need to be conversational, engaging, not too stiff, not too formal. Just try to treat this conversation as just a fun chat between two friends over a cup of coffee or tea. And we just sat down together and you are in Switzerland, I'm in Cyprus. And then we talk. And yeah, other people, hundreds or thousands, may listen to it or watch it, but just try to act normal when you are on a try to be friendly and conversational and just don't think about that other people can listen to you. Just like focus on the other person, be present and
Uh-huh.
listen to those questions. I think being present is probably one of the most crucial things you can do.
Wow. Wow. No, I mean, as you were talking, I was thinking about the first podcast I hosted. In fact, I tried to avoid the title of podcast. I was just going live. That's what I called it. And someone allowed me to, as I say, cut my teeth on her. And actually, she's going to come back because we want to know what she's doing now. But that point about being oneself is so important. And I actually think that most audiences are will really tune into that authenticity and that humanity, that vulnerability that one would show during the conversation. Um, so just to recapture, be oneself and actually kind of to put yourself in the mood of, hey, I'm just having a conversation over a cup of coffee or tea with someone that, either I've known or I'm just meeting, but I really want to get to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And have fun. Like, and smile. And that's so important too. And try to just breathe normally, when you talk. And yeah, just try to slow down when you're on a show because we tend to speed up when we
Mhm.
want to express everything at the same time. And without just, we talk so fast, but try to slow down, take it easy and enjoy. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the
Okay. All right. Hear that, folks? First of all, deal with just how are you going to show up. Be yourself, slow down, breathe, and you're just enjoying a cup of coffee or tea with the next human being. And it's just being present, being present. So I hope you're writing these notes down. Now, I have another question for you. Now, what you do is match guest with host. I don't want you to give away your secret, but what would you tell someone who's saying, okay, I want to get out there and be seen, be visible, be on someone's podcast? What should they be thinking about if they are going to venture out and start getting on podcasts? What should they be considering as they make their decisions or choices?
Yes, it's a very complex question because first of all, you need to find the right podcast for yourself. So
Mhm.
you have to be super clear about what your business about and what your message is. So what do you want to deliver to the world? So what your business is about, what your service is about, it's really important. So maybe just sit down and think it through, go over it, write it down. So what's the message I want to give to people? Then once you have that information, then you can search for podcasts that are aligned with your message, really important. And then, of course, there's Apple Podcasts, there's YouTube there. You can always find Spotify. You can always find different shows and listen to the shows before you reach out to the host. Maybe you don't listen to the whole episode, but maybe half of it, or if you have time, do the whole episode and just try to get into the vibe. Try to see what the host wants to say, what the conversations are about, what's the energy there. It's so important to get familiar with them, with maybe with their business, because I've heard these horror stories about people reaching out to different podcasts. You are a yoga instructor and you're reaching out to a marketing podcast because you have no clue what the podcast is about, but you're just reaching out like you're shooting blind everywhere. And it doesn't work. So be familiar with the podcast, reach out. And I know the podcasting world is so busy right now.
Mhm.
Podcast hosts are getting hundreds of emails, maybe weekly. So, what you need to do to stand out with your podcast pitch, I don't like that word, but we still use it. So, you need to stand out with your pitch, with your email or your reach out, because there are so many other people emailing the same podcast host. The competition is huge. So you
Mhm.
need to stand out in order to do that. So when you think about your bio, don't write a whole novel. Like try to find a sweet spot. People
Uh-huh.
they won't read it if it's going to be too long. So trying to find something in the middle, something nice and sweet, and also you have to focus on your topics. Like find at least three topics that you can talk about. And
Mhm.
you don't have to go into like deep details and dive into everything when you reach out to the host, but at least like just point three topics out. Like I would love to talk about those. And of course, if you have a previous interview, share it with the host, and
Hmm.
maybe just a clip, just a short audio clip or video clip or something, so they know what you are about and you have experience in that space. And of course your social media links, website, it just it's just common sense basically. When you reach out, there's nothing magical about it. Try to be short and sweet, and that's how you approach podcast hosts.
Wow, wow. Okay. So let me recap. And there's a lot packed in there, but it sounds straightforward, but I've been in that kind of business. Say, hey, can I
Yeah,
be on your podcast? And I think that a lot of times people get challenged a little bit with I call it credentialing, because they really want to show up as being expert or
yeah,
knowledgeable and those kinds of things. But what I hear you saying is sit down, get clear what it is you do, very concisely, um, and be able to express it concisely. Talk about yourself, not a novel, but also make that concise and to the point, and provide some examples if you can of maybe other podcasts or places where you've spoken, and they can get a sense of who you are. And then, but at the bottom of the heap is to be sure that, and I love the word you used, the vibe, that you and who you are vibes with who or what that podcast is and is about.
exactly. It's so important because once you don't have that vibe, people will feel it. The audience, the listeners will feel it, will see it, and your message maybe won't get through because you don't have that kind of energy between you and the host.
Hmm. 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 So I know you said that you've heard about some of these disaster stories where these kinds of basic things weren't done. Um, and I mean, so you're a guest on my platform, and you've probably had guests in what you were doing. So tell me about a time when you found yourself in one of those mixed up situations where it just might not have been kind of well set up. Have you had that kind of experience? And if you have, tell us what you did about it.
You mean like when I was a guest on a show,
When
or?
you're a guest on a show, or you had someone that in your earlier stages when you were hosting, there
Yeah,
might have been a mixed match.
I wasn't really hosting podcast. I
Mhm.
was co-hosting one about
Mhm.
an year ago, but that was kind of a different show, and we only invited people we knew, and that's a great strategy because you knew them. So when you start a podcast, so I didn't really have horror stories like that when I was co-hosting this podcast, because when you start a podcast, invite people that you know, and you have just such an easier life starting a podcast, because obviously you have already have a vibe, you already have a relationship and a history with those guests. So what we did, we just invited basically friends in our space that they used to be, different. They are experts in different fields, and that
Mhm.
makes your life so much easier if you're starting your own podcast, because
Mhm.
it's relief. Like, yes, they're not outsiders. Obviously, when you have more experience in podcasting, then other people can come on too. But start easy. Don't be so hard on yourself. Start with easy options. Start with your friends, and it's fun to have those conversations first. Plus, you get into practice how to interview people, and your friends won't judge you that much. And so
So,
it's just an easier easier way out when you do that.
and actually, it's pretty interesting because I told you about the person that allowed me to cut my teeth on her, but she had invited me to her podcast, and that's
Right.
how I got the bug. I realized, oh, I could do that, and it's not uncommon that once you've had the experience of being a guest, you start seeing the possibilities with being in the space. And that's very good advice. Start with your friends, someone you know that you naturally already have a vibe. And it makes that conversation easier,
Yeah,
far
yeah.
easier to really develop your capability. So we've heard about things to consider if you want to be on a podcast, how to position yourself, what to do energetically so that you show up the best on that podcast. You know, comfortable in your own skin, authentic, vulnerable, no mask. Now, tell me something. Just tell me. You just said that it's good for someone to maybe share a video
Mhm.
or evidence of
Yes. Yeah.
expertise. We can share anything we want. I mean, I think I shared one with you because you said, "Oh no, wait a minute, I want to see how you interview." But tell me, if you're going to select something to send, or you're going to have what I call a dossier, a portfolio that you're going to be sharing with people because you want to be on their platforms, what would you tell someone to be choiceful about?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I love it, Fran. Yeah, pick the best one.
Pick the
Obviously,
best one. What's the
pick the
best
best.
one?
The best one got the most views. I mean, you're like whatever it's in YouTube, it got the most views. Um, or you won't know that on Apple Podcast, obviously, because you won't see the downloads or anything. It's only the podcast host who can do that. But most of the time, you also feel it. What was your best conversation?
Hmm.
Okay, if you have hundreds of them, maybe it's not so easy to pick one. And pick a recent one, not like something from 2 years ago. It's really important also you to pick something that is current, that is fresh, that is new, not from 2023 or something like that. So it's
Hmm.
really important that maybe pick in the same year. It doesn't need to be like 2 weeks ago, but something that happened maybe a few weeks or months ago. And also when you felt your best, and you knew that, like, oh my gosh, this conversation went so well, and you feel it in your body, that we have those conversations that we were like, maybe we weren't so present, and I had so many things on my mind, but which were the good ones. And if it's on YouTube and you can see the likes, and it's or comments, it really tells to the other podcast. So it's like, oh, that was a cool conversation. So just try to be a little picky which conversation you choose. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Okay. Okay. You know, what I really like about podcasting is it's transformative. Okay. I share a little bit about my journey. How has this work changed or influenced who you are?
Mm. Yes, it changes. It definitely changes. Like in my previous work as running the online travel related business, I was always in the background, like yourself. Like I was kind of hiding in the background, like, oh, I don't have to talk to people. Very good. I can just write. I can just do my social media thing, take my pictures, do my blogging, and I don't have to interact with anyone, because before I used to work in a place where I had to interact with people all the time on the phone. I was tired of it. So I had like a few years until I don't have to interact with people. This is amazing. But when we started this business, it really kind of opened me up. Like, I can do this. I can share things about my story. People can learn from my story. So I became so much more open, so much more vulnerable, sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly from my life openly. And it opened up me as a person. It really helped me. I'm kind of in the middle between an introvert and an extrovert.
Hmm.
So for me, it was a big thing to step up and share about my past, share about my family, and it really helped me to connect with amazing people across the globe and making amazing friendships. And I think it was so good, because since 2007 I've been working remotely when they didn't even invent remote work and
Hmm.
that just came with the pandemic. But I was working remotely from home, And but now with the, just being a podcast guest and networking a lot because of the line of job I'm doing, it's amazing. I enjoy it. I opened up. I'm buzzing. I love the vibe, the energy of it. So yeah, it
Mhm.
changed my life completely, and
Mm,
in a positive way, for sure.
mm. So, I mean, and listening to you, first of all, I can feel the energy. I mean, and really, to the audience, it transmits, that it communicates that energy. And if you're flat, you're flat, and if you're not liking it, we know,
You know, you
we
know.
know. But as you were talking, I was just thinking, because my platform is about helping um, owners and founders, entrepreneurs, leaders, to grow and evolve, not just professionally in their businesses and being successful in their businesses, but as whole people, their personal growth and evolution as well. And so, hence, I have an eclectic collection of guests who come in and will touch various aspects of life and living. And so, um, having gone through my own introvert status, um, and having met a lot of people that were saying, okay, being visible is part of gaining the recognition you need to provide a service that you believe can help people. And so, I just want to reiterate that, is that I think a takeaway from this conversation, and while it is about being a successful podcast guest and what you should consider if you want to be a podcast host, it is put yourself in situations that will lift you out of what you've always done,
True,
because it
very
can
true.
just completely transform and put you in such a much stronger place. I'm like you, networking, you weren't going to get me to even talk about business, but it has changed my life. And having conversations with people like you has really, really made such a huge difference in my success and how I've grown in the last several years. Great. So, I think the time angel uh, eats up my time, because I'm always surprised how quickly these conversations go. And here we are, we're just about to the end of our period. And I want to just take this moment to ask you to share with us kind of the last little tidbit you will want this audience to hear from your heart about what you do and what it means to people. So, why don't you just, tell us what's that last tidbit?
Yeah, for me, it's really important to have that kind of connection with people whom I work with. It's really important. Try to lead the business and my life as well, like in a heart centered way. I think it's really important to serve people and always add value to people's lives. And when I work with them, I'm doing the same thing. And thankfully, to my Go Giver community, I always give a shout out to Bob Berg and the Go Giver community, because they really thought and helped me to live my life and lead my business heart centered way and giving value to other people. So that's what I do in business as well. And it's your clients that you work with in the businesses, they're not just numbers, they are people and they have a life, and we can be just, be understanding with each other. And the other thing is, when it comes to podcast guesting, and when you starting doing that, you will get a lot of no's from hosts, and you have to get used to that. And that's why it's good to hire a podcast booking agency, because we take the no's and you won't know about them. And I had clients and they asked me, it's like, so can you tell me who said no to me? And it's like, no, I won't. This is a secret. Like, you don't need to know that. You just need to know the yeses. But sometimes you will know the no's if you organize your own, and you just have to get used to the no's. And sometimes maybe it's for the better.
Mhm.
But one thing is true, and I would love to, give this as a takeaway for your audience, that never ever give up. Just keep going. rinse and repeat the process and get on those shows, but you need to be consistent and you need to be persistent, whatever you're doing, when it comes to podcast guesting, life or business, because that's how it works. I mean, it takes time until we're gonna get on those podcasts that we wish to be on. So
Yeah. That term, consistency, persisting, being able to accept the no's. I mean, really reframing it, because I actually believe that it's very difficult to fail unless you just quit.
yeah.
So don't quit. See it as you learn, you will grow, or you'll transform. But you can't fail unless you quit. So be consistent and be persistent. So now, tell us, how can people reach you if they want to work with you?
Please visit our website, which is podcastconnections, plural, .co.com. And you can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there and I love that platform. It's Noemi Beres. And just type my name in, Noemiberes. And there's a tiny microphone sign next to my name, and you can have a chat with me and connect
Okay,
with me.
fantastic. And to the audience, when we go live, we will have this information and put it in the comments section. So while you're sitting there and listening to this wonderful lady, you will also be able to just click and go and set up a time to be with her. So, Noemi, thank you so much for your time with us today. Thank you for your energy and really demonstrating for us live just how to do it. It is a masterclass in observing and learning. And I do wish you the very absolute best in your business. And I know I'm going to see you here and there. And I'm looking forward to spending more time with you. So please take care of yourself. Thank you again. And that's it, folks.